Who is the greatest god in Greek mythology? Most people would say Zeus without a second thought. The god of thunder, the ruler of Olympus, the figure often described as the father of gods and men. But have you ever wondered about this? Was there ever a moment when even Zeus had to fall asleep? And if there was, who could have possibly made that happen? Today's story is about Hypnos, the god of sleep, and how he was said to go up against Zeus himself. But here's the important part. Hypnos did not win with simple power alone. The plan was clever, risky, and almost reckless. Because Zeus was not the kind of god who would quietly accept anyone challenging his authority. First, we need to look at who Hypnos is. In Greek myth, Hypnos holds a strange place among the gods. His mother is Nyx, the goddess of night. And Nyx was no ordinary divine figure. She was so ancient and powerful that even Zeus is often portrayed as treating her with caution. Hypnos also had a twin brother Thanatos, the god of death. Sleep and death as brothers. That image feels meaningful, doesn't it? Sleep is the state where consciousness fades, and death can feel like its darker echo. To the ancient Greeks, sleep was often imagined as a kind of little brother to death. But Hypnos did not have an easy life on Olympus. There was a reason for that. He had already faced the anger of Zeus once before. The story is tied to the Trojan War. In one version of the myth, Hera wanted to interfere with Zeus, so the balance of the war could shift. To do that, she needed Zeus out of the way, even if only for a moment. So she asked Hypnos to put him into a deep sleep. At first, Hypnos refused. He knew exactly how dangerous it was to trick Zeus. But Hera offered him an incredible reward. The young and beautiful goddess Pasithea as his bride. In the end, Hypnos gave in. He put Zeus to sleep, and while Zeus was unaware, Hera moved forward with her own plans in the war. But the real danger came after that. When Zeus woke and understood what had been done, he was furious. The idea that someone had fooled him and made him sleep without his will was more than enough to trigger his rage. In some tellings, Zeus was ready to hurl Hypnos away from Olympus and cast him down in punishment. Hypnos survived only by fleeing to his mother, Nyx. And that matters, because Nyx was one of the few beings Zeus would not casually challenge. Once Hypnos reached her, Zeus pulled back. His anger did not disappear, but he stopped there. After that, Hypnos had every reason to fear Zeus. And yet, the story was not over. Soon enough, Hera came to him again. And once again, the goal was the same. Zeus had to be put to sleep. This time, Hypnos was far more careful. He already knew that raw power would not be enough. If he was going to do this again, it had to be precise. So the plan became much more subtle. First, Hypnos stayed completely out of Zeus's sight. As the god of sleep, he belonged to shadows, stillness, and the quiet edge between waking and dreaming. But even more important than hiding was timing. Zeus had to be caught at his most relaxed moment. That was not easy. Zeus was surrounded by conflict, schemes, and constant tension. But in this myth, he had one clear weakness: Hera. She was the one person who could draw close to him and lower his guard. Hypnos understood that, and he used it. While Hera soothed Zeus, held his attention, and distracted him with affection and sweet words, Hypnos waited for the perfect instant to move in unseen. He chose the moment when Zeus would be most vulnerable, when he was fully at ease, heavy with comfort, and no longer watching for danger. Then came Hypnos's most powerful tool, his staff. In later imagination and symbolic retellings, this staff is often linked to sleep, magic, soft dreams, and even the poppy, a flower long associated with rest and forgetting. The image is simple but powerful. Hypnos touches the eyes, and wakefulness fades. So in the story, he approaches silently and brushes Zeus with the force of sleep itself. And that is where the myth becomes especially interesting. Putting Zeus to sleep was only half the problem. The other half was making sure Zeus would not immediately understand what had happened when he woke. So Hypnos is often imagined not just as a bringer of sleep, but as a master of dreams. Not empty dreams, but dreams that feel seamless, convincing, almost impossible to separate from waking thought. In that sense, the trick was deeper than sleep. It was perception. Zeus was not simply resting. He was being guided into a state where the line between dream and awareness blurred. What he saw felt complete. What he believed felt certain. And while he remained caught in that state, Hera's plan had time to unfold. That is what makes Hypnos so fascinating. He is not the strongest god in Greek mythology. He does not win through thunder, strength, or open battle. He wins through timing, patience, and the smallest opening in someone else's defenses. And in this myth, that was enough to overcome even Zeus for a while. Afterward, Hypnos can be seen in a very different light, not as a minor god drifting in the background, but as a force powerful enough to disarm the king of the gods, without ever meeting him head-on. And there is a deeper lesson in that. No matter how powerful someone seems, there is always a moment when they are more exposed than they realize. And often, that moment appears not through violence, but through comfort, through trust, through the one place where they finally stop resisting. For Zeus, that opening came through Hera, and Hypnos knew exactly how to slip through it. So if you are starting to feel sleepy right now, maybe ask yourself one small question. What if that drowsy feeling is just Hypnos passing by? And if your eyes begin to close, maybe question the dream you see next. Because in mythology, the most dangerous thing is not always the storm above you. Sometimes, it is the soft, quiet moment when you stop noticing that sleep has already arrived.